All right. I woke up early today and I was like, let's go on Sin City, see if there's anybody there to talk to. And that's what you see right up above there. There's nobody online. So I'm like, man, maybe I'll pop in TINYCHAT. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been there. They're closed. Since December 16th. Interesting. It says, TINYCHAT decided to shut down. We appreciate all the support for the past 15 years. Blah, blah, blah. And it has a link to Pal Talk. Never used it, never heard of it. I'm like, what the heck? All right, it is weird. I was just there 2 weeks ago. There's no sign that they're going to be shutting down. Then all of a sudden, they're gone. And even weirder, look at their freaking Twitter here. December 23rd, they wish people happy holidays. And even one of the hashtags here says download TINYCHAT. Let me zoom in a little bit. And then next one here, look. Oh, sorry. Let me slide this. Dun, dun, dun. Look at this. December 18th. Why choose TINYCHAT? It's like they're trying to tell people, ever wondered why TINYCHAT is the choice of many? It's trying to tell people to download TINYCHAT. It's closed since December 16th. Let's go back December 10th. There's no post on their Twitter about it. When we search, let's just search TINYCHAT. When we search TINYCHAT, we get, this is what I started seeing. Now I was like, oh, what is this? A snapshot about TINYCHAT, P. Diddy and Ashton Kutcher and $1.5 million. I'm like, all right, well, that led me to do a little research. And well, what do we got here? This is from TechCrunch.com, 2011. It says right here, you can barely read it. Oh, it's over on the side. But right there, literally, if I have to zoom in just to show you, yeah, look, right there. The date, 2011. And it says they raised $1.5 million. Let me crunch that in a little bit more. There we go. There we go. Okay, so basically it's saying during the financial round, a convertible note, which included capital injections from angel investor Naval Ravikant and the Madonna manager, actor Ashton Kutcher, and billionaire Ron Burkle. But if that's not enough, right here it says, P. Diddy, Sean Combs, also put up some money, and other undisclosed individuals, some of them famous artists. And why? Well, to get the inroads with the Hollywood crowd, to drive further growth, right? TINYCHAT co-founder Dan Blake. Maybe we should search this guy up, because what the heck is going on here? I look up for the top trending, hoping I'd find somebody talking about this stuff. Nobody is. I made a post 34 minutes ago about it, referencing this other posts other people made. But look at this. Now I came across this. People in November started learning about this thing, linking TINYCHAT to Diddy, flirting with minors and TINYCHAT. It's like, what the? So I had to make this post. I'm Reporter Rancor. And something a little fishy going on here. The website, which I'm telling you is just riddled with satanic people, dude. The people on here, like, this post is a picture from 2014, so that's kind of more in the poppin' days of TINYCHAT. That's what this post is, 2014. He's like, oh, stop by and TINYCHAT, and basically he's doing a meet and greet with fans. Back when it was popping. Ever since Discord, places like TINYCHAT have just fallen out a little bit. But what we do know, what I could tell you from being there, it's extremely toxic, dude. Nothing but people hating on people, trolling each other, just talking down, bad, nasty to each other. I came in to a chat a few times, like 3 weeks ago, and I was just started talking about positive things, about loving each other, because I was kind of exposing how they weren't being very loving to each other. Like if they used the same standards that they're trying to set down for other people to follow, they would fail their own standards. I'm like, don't you see what you're doing is completely hypocritical? And then I started talking about God. It was over, dude. I got banned in about like 10 seconds, dude. Just for being decent, talking about good things. They don't want to hear it. They would rather live in hatred of everyone around them. So, anyways, when we do a search for TinyChat, let's just do a news search, because this is a little bit of news. Actually, let's just go to the first one now. Oh, okay, that's the same thing. Let's see what Wikipedia has to say, because people here, right here, December 16th, they announced that it's ending, closed down. The shutdown announcement featured an advertisement for Paltalk, a formerly competing internet chat service. But here we go. Reference number 1. Well, they're referencing the article that I just showed you. Yeah, let's go to the news tab. Yeah, look. Oh, no. Oh, Paltalk buys TinyChat. That's what really happened. They were bought in 2014, but here's the rumors that came out in October. So maybe this is why there's a switch. And by the way, I never did search up Dan Blake for TinyChat. We should look this guy up too. Daniel Blake Solomon? Wait a minute. This guy was just banned on Twitter. Or I mean on Twitch. Is this the same guy? All right. Dan Solomon hasn't posted anything since November 24th. What? Ethan Klein. Wow, this is weird stuff. So let's see. Saltzman banned on Twitch, I think, was Dan Saltzman banned. All right. Is Dan Saltzman and Dan Blake Saltzman the same person? Dan Blake. User joined the channel.
What's up?
Ooh, Robson just joined. That fucking dude's always hacking into his. What's up? Anyways, Dan, what's this? Dan Blake Saltzman. What? So Dan Saltzman, the guy on TinyChat, is banned TinyChat Twitch. Okay, that's Look. Demanding that they unban Destiny from Twitch. Okay. I am so confused. All right, so this guy is banned on Twitch recently for extreme harassment and anti-Semitism, I think for laughing about Jews being pushed in water or something in the river. I don't really know. What weird stuff we have going on. So, oh, what? Twitch recently classified Zionist as a slur, as a bannable offense. What the? Oh my goodness. You guys, I think this goes way deeper than I even thought. You know, and what's weird is, like, I just picked up on a stench. It smelled fishy, you know. But why isn't other people really talking about this? Oh, Hassan Abi. This is all because of this guy. Hassan, who's fucking huge, is talking about TinyChat.
Daniel Dan Saltman mentioned in a P. Diddy article. Rumors swirl that Diddy and Ashton Kutcher used TinyChat to flirt with underage girls. The celeb Dimples Combs tells the fan in the clip. Wait, what?
There's my live streaming right there.
Come on, this is a different guy.
I got an advertisement for my live while I'm live streaming. That's fine.
Wait, no. Dan Saltman, the same Dan Saltman that has been doing the Twitch adpocalypse shit, is the guy who is the owner of TinyChat. I think it's the same guy, isn't it?
Twitch adpocalypse? What is that? Twitch adpocalypse. What is that? All right. All right. Comments explicitly mention Keemstar H3H3 Hassan. The unfortunate answer is that there isn't really any clear answer. Okay. This is too much reading. Mentions of adpocalypse and chat. So, various prominent streamers are reporting significant declines in ad revenue. Okay. So it's about ad revenue. All right, so they're claiming this guy started the adpocalypse? Is that really what's going on here? Okay.
Thoughts on the adpocalypse? There's no adpocalypse going on. None of our ad revenue has changed. None of the ad revenue of any streamer that I know has been changed. The only thing that matters in this case is if you put a tag on your stream that is in any way sexual themes or in any way deals with politics, your ad revenue disappears. And people have been able to test this, and then the moment you remove the tag, you get your ad revenue back. The adpocalypse isn't real.
Okay. So are we going to listen to that guy? Now, where's that video I was just... Oh, my... I got so many tabs going on here.
Yeah, no, he did make... No, Dan Can't Stream, Dan Saltman is the guy who made TinyChat. That's correct. What is this? Got any plans December 8th? What does that mean? Why? I do have plans that Ashton Kutcher and Diddy. I don't know if till there's more. That's bad. Make them make that argument. Show them as the.
Oh, great. He just went back into his gay ass politics. It's freaking leftist libtard shit. Hopefully YouTube doesn't ban me for that. Well, this is pretty much the end of the road for what we could find today. I'm just going to do one more search for TinyChat, see if we got anything, because they just suddenly close. They're trying to hide this stuff about P. Diddy, I feel like, because now Hassan is blown out of the water, and then this dude's all talking about the adpocalypse. Like, something's stirring up here. And there is a slight Jewish connection. That has to be noted. There is a slight Jewish connection. I don't know if it's just about that one event in Amsterdam, or if this is about the actual, because dude, I'm just learning now that you can't say Zionist on Twitch. What? How?
You were moved.
Did you know that? Let's look up Zionism on Wikipedia. Like, Zionism. Zionism in itself is actually a racist movement. Like, it's an ethno-cultural nationalist movement. They're defined, their nationality is a term of their ethnicity. So they're an ethnic nationality, and they want to create a Jewish state. And now Zionism has become Israel's national state of ideology. So that's just the introduction. But what I was going to get back to was, what is Zionism? Zionism is the promotion of their own ethnic group above all others. That's what it is. And when we learn about the definition of that, of groups doing this, this is actually the definition of, being racist, or being, whatever you want to call it. Like, essentially, you're giving preferred treatment to a certain group of people. Other people that don't fit in this certain group, they get treated a little bit differently. Maybe they get taxed more. Maybe they get, I don't know. But what we could see is that within Zionist communities, they promote, hiring Jewish people, for instance, over other people, which is how we have like groups of Zionists controlling certain sects of our society. Like, imagine if there is a new company taking over, like the one that's taken over TinyChat, right? And imagine if it's all run by the same group of people who are all trying to hire their own group of people. Wouldn't it make sense that that's now, they're an ethno whatever issue, because, well, they're promoting their ethnicity over everyone else's. But if we point that out and we say, hey, that's what Zionism is, oh, you said Zionist, you're a racist. What? I'm just talking about these things. I'm simply just talking about, I didn't even explain what I think. I haven't even talked about what I think about it. How is it that if I'm talking about an issue, I am the issue, when I haven't even explained how I feel about the issue? So, in the end, oh my. In the end, if you guys really want to see what's going on behind the scenes, X.com is proving to me to be a pretty awesome source. Not because of, let's say, a post from Elon Musk. You get a post from Elon Musk like this, just a reminder, the algorithm is trying to maximize ungridded user seconds. If far more credible verified subscriber accounts mute or block your account compared to those who like your post, your reach will significantly decline. And it's just talking about stuff because everyone's like kind of getting on Elon Musk. Even MAGA supporters are kind of getting on him right now. But what we're trying to get at is sometimes when you find a post, like I was just looking at a post about the IRS, I think it was. So let's just look up the IRS and let's see. Oh, I can't find it. Oh, CBS. Let's search CBS. All right, so let's go to the CBS News. Let's scroll down to some of their... What the? Okay, I had never gone on CBS's Twitter before. This is... You would expect like they'd have news and stuff, but... Wait, what? Why is this from 2023? Is this not their active account? What the? Oh, CBS News. That's why. CBS News. Right here, this is the one I saw. Human-caused climate change. Meant an average of 41 days of dangerous heat this year, scientists say. Well, when we look into the comments, this is where the real beauty of X begins to reveal itself. Because look, we got fake news, fear porn. It's like, finally, dude, this is what we've been talking about. If you go on any other whatever, you're not going to see just common people. Like, they do have a blue check mark, but this is someone who bought a blue check mark. You know, they're not famous. They buy a blue check mark. Now they get a couple people to like it and see their post, which is great because we can see what the people are actually thinking. And we don't have to just believe, okay, we don't want to believe him. We don't want to believe him. Let's just scroll down to here. Everything's due to climate change. Yeah, these people have a right. Or, I mean, these people actually have an idea here. Let's start looking at the ones that got a lot of likes. 5 to 11. Where's the 51? Where there are 51 of these scientists by any chance? I don't know. Yeah, it's talking about 51 scientists that agree. They're always fine scientists that agree. I'm trying to find where all the liked ones are because usually these float to the top, but we're actually just seeing a bunch of posts that barely get any traction at all. So let's just go through this. I went a little too fast there, but where is it? I was reading some good stuff in here. What we're seeing right now is that people are waking up. Like 10 years ago, you wouldn't have saw this. Like people in mass just refusing, just like, no, I will not believe this. But 10 years ago, people were like, let me read about this. What's going on with climate change? Oh, yeah, we should really do something about it. But now, this is what we're seeing. People are correlating climate change to Marxism, to communism. And that's the truth that's starting to be revealed on X.com. This isn't about finding any individual person and seeing who's telling the truth. This is about getting an overall grasp of what the people are thinking, and people are waking up to the whole climate hoax. So one of these comments was talking about China. But here, your scientists are as unreliable as your experts. They are alarmists. Nobody trusts them anymore. Your entire news organization has failed. They're clowns. That's what we're all seeing. We're all waking up to this. Now, what happens where everywhere you turn on the TV, everywhere there's news, especially thinking about the 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old people, that's how they get news. They don't know really, the average 50-year-old doesn't know how to get information from X like this. If you do, they're pretty cool, I'm sure. But what we notice now is everything's changing. The media's changing. People do not care about the news. AP News, NPR, all these CBS, they don't care. You can give a big name like CNN, people don't care. I mean, people already stopped caring about Fox before, right? Because they're like, oh, Fox News is right-wing propaganda. But now everyone realizes it's literally all propaganda. And now we're starting to see that the same crap that they're pushing in our educational system to try and get people to think that, oh, we're doing good things for this world. We got to raise money and we got to stop driving our cars. They thought they're doing something good, but when we see the big picture of everything starting to play out, we're starting to see, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're just falling into victimhood mentality. You're falling into this freaking, was that meme with SpongeBob when he does like the rainbow meme is one of my favorite ones. He's like, it's like, what is it called? It's like, not virtual signaling. Yeah, that's it. Virtue signaling. Meme SpongeBob. This is what I was imagining in my head. It's like this one, Valium, but it's more like virtue signaling, because that's what they are. They're creating this little vacuum before that. Now we've completely collapsed their vacuum. It's not working for them anymore. And let's look. Finally, we found something, okay? This post only has 5 views now because of me, 6 views. But look, 1,100 eminent scientists declare there is no climate emergency. Right? And, okay, I get it. This is just a picture of something that, like right now, I'm looking at, let's look at this Clintel Group by Clintel Group. Clintel Group Global Warming. See, this is what you have to do. You have to be able to find keywords and search for yourself, find this information. All right, so here's the website, clintelnews.com. And then let's look up this. It's trying to debunk them. So there is no climate emergency. And now let's see these people. It's basically, it's a Netherlands-based climate science denial group founded in 2019. That's how they label them, by a retired professor of geophysics and a journalist. Says 800 scientists support. But they claim that they've done little to no climate research. He said that the list of signatures includes a commercial fisherman, retired chemist, cardiologist, blah, blah, blah. Basically, this is what they do. The leftists try to not sham, but basically smear campaign people like this, someone who's trying to do their work, trying to do their due diligence, spread information, and then what do? They create these websites. Like this one is called DSmog, but it's like acting like it's a fact-checking website, and what they're doing is they're trying to fact-check by saying, oh, but all the interviewed people that they were simply just a commercial fisherman, a retired chemist, a cardiologist, an air conditioning engineer, basically saying that they have no basis because of their credentials. And that's where I come from now, perspective of the Bible, Jesus Christ, and people under him, the disciples, the apostles like Paul. These people were not appointed by any church. They were not appointed by any human. They did not have any credentials, right? Paul had 0 credentials of being a Christian when he became a Christian. He was a Jew. He was killing Christians, and then he had a divine encounter with our Lord, which changed his life forever and changed his mind and changed his direction, everything. And he began to join the people he was hunting down and trying to rid of in Jerusalem. And you know what? That's when I decided we don't need people of authority to tell us what we are. You know? You think I need somebody to tell me that I'm a reporter or I'm a journalist because now I've gone through all this education and now I've been approved by some sort of vetting process, and now I have this card, this certificate that says you are now approved to be a journalist. Good job. No, that's not the way reality works. And this is the way they want us to think reality works, that only people certified are able to do it. No, that's a lie. Certification is just a way to engineer taxation and a loophole of fees so that people now have to get into this loophole if they're ever going to try and get anywhere. You know, it's a system that they've been feeding and expanding for years now, and is what people know. It's been written in Revelations of the future is going to be the mark of the beast, a completely centralized digital currency that rids the world of all of our different currencies and gets everybody on a single system where if you're not part of the system, you can't buy goods. And if you are caught trying to buy goods, even by something like bartering, that's illegal. It's illegal in the future. That is going to be a reality because of the people like this that are writing articles like this, because they want to try and determine to us people what is truth by smear campaigning them. So when I'm thinking about some of these things and reading about these things, and it's like I learned something about CO2 when I actually started doing some research into climate. And what I discovered was they want to act like as the CO2 increases like this, it's just going to start exponentially increasing like this. And when it does this curve up, it's going to like basically accelerate the Earth's temperature so much that like we're just going to have mass die-offs or something. But the reality is that a cold Earth is a lot more dangerous than a warm Earth. And that's just a fact. People overheating is less likely to result in death than people freezing to death. People freeze to death a lot more than people overheat to death. And the CO2, though, it does something different. In fact, instead of it going like this and affecting the climate, the weather like this, we've noticed, in fact, that the weather isn't impacted differently. The atmosphere, global temperatures of the Earth, affected by the CO2 actually does a curve like this. So the more CO2 you get, the more you need in order to actually change the temperature of the Earth. So now you reach a point where you need so much in order to just increase it by a half of a degree that there's simply not enough CO2 in existence to do it. A lot of the projections are what is used to scientifically say that global warming or climate change exists, but these are the projections, just like they project the population of humanity. They want to try and project that, our world is overpopulated and that we need to limit population growth, but it's simply not true. Just in America, we produce so much food that we could feed our nation 2 times over. Like right now, if we expanded, just duplicated overnight, 350 million, and boom, we just became nearly 1 billion overnight, we would still be able to sustain with what we've already got. But when you have more people, you're able to do more things. So we would be able to infinitely create more. Not infinitely, of course, but like exponentially. And people like Elon Musk know this. And when they're seeing the population of Japan decline by 1 million people last year, it's starting to raise red flags. We have more and a bigger emergency of birth rate than we do of climate change. That's a fact. But we're not seeing anything about that. Just like another fact is, there's a one minority in the world that is persecuted greater than any other minority. And nobody knows. Nobody knows. I could go to every single person at my local store, and I'll do this one day. I'll have a sign and I'll ask them, hey, what do you think is the most persecuted minority in the world? They're going to say everything except the right answer. The right answer is that Christianity is the most persecuted religion in all the world, making up about 3 billion of the world's population, about 1/3. Christianity is singly the most persecuted minority. And it's ironic because it is also the largest religion in the world. More people are becoming Christian right now in the Middle East. I've been watching videos about this on TikTok. It's just expanding everywhere, writing news articles about it. There is a massive, massive move throughout the Middle East of spiritual awakening, people coming to Christ. But you wouldn't know that. And you want to know how a lot of this is happening? It's happening through dreams. Let's see. So this is a video that I saw, actually, as an interview from this guy right here, and he's saying that people are waking up all over the world because of vivid dreams. Listen here.
He's bringing dreams about Jesus to these people. This is a phenomenon that is sweeping the Middle East.
So that's like the main point of what he's talking about. But even just 3 months ago from Christian News, they're saying how 2/3 of all the mosques in Iran are being closed down because attendance is dwindling, funding is dwindling as the people are converting to Christ. It's estimated that in just last year alone, I think 1 million people have converted to Christ, to Christians. This is huge. Nobody's forcing these people. If anything, these people are up against a government that's trying to imprison them and kill them. There's many people who have been imprisoned for just simply holding a Bible study in their home. Imagine that. Imagine if we were actually informed that, hey, there is one book in this world that's causing people to be killed more than any other book. And it's not the people reading the book that are killing, but it's the governments and the people opposed to this book that are killing the people trying to read it, just for simply reading it and sharing with other people what they've learned from it. That's how you know you got the most powerful book in the world. It is the most printed book in the world, and it is the least read book in the world. You got nearly a Bible in every home in America, and next to the same amount have never been opened, have never been read by the same individuals that own them and claim to believe in it. That's how you can tell we're in spiritual war. This has been going on for thousands of years. It hasn't changed. The only thing that has changed are the techniques used to suppress the truth. Today, it's propaganda through the media, through our education system. But look, Muslim men in Gaza receiving Jesus as they have dreams. This is what's happening. This is a spiritual awakening. This is a global phenomenon. This isn't because people were born a certain way or into a certain religion or no. This is the people deciding for themselves what to think because they have been lied to. The Muslims are not the only ones who've been lied to. We in America have been lied to. Whether it's the climate change, whether it's about if it isn't the climate change thing, then it's the whole racist agenda that they've been pushing onto us, or the LGBTQ agenda, or the whole just fill in the blank. They want to tell us who the enemy is, right? Oh, white people are the enemy. Oh, white Christian nationalists are the enemy. Oh, anybody who's a racist is an enemy. No, the real enemy, because Jesus declares to us, we're not in a war against flesh. That's what Jesus said. We're not in a war against blood and flesh. So that's how you know those people saying that the racists are the enemy, they're working for the enemy. The enemy is the one telling them that the white people are the enemy. Who is that? Oh, I'll tell you right now. He is the father of all that is unrighteous, the father of all that is perverted, the father of all that is death. He is Satan. He wants to be hidden. He wants to not be known. That's why we don't see it. You know, people think that evil is just this thing that is just green stench that just like, oh, you could see the sin just resonating from him. Oh, you could tell just by looking in his eyes with that smile, he was evil. That's not how evil works, dude. Evil doesn't work like, no, that's just like a side effect of evil. Evil actually creeps in unknowingly. You know, think about Adam and Eve. When Eve was being spoken to by the serpent, she unknowingly was being gaslighted and fed misinformation that she fed to her husband. And because he didn't properly train her, because he didn't properly guide her and tell her the truth, because he didn't continually keep her in God's word, and instead they decided to just think about it themselves and think in their head like, maybe. And then what? They ate the fruit of knowledge. And trust me, it's not the knowledge you think. You think you go to school for knowledge, right? And you're like, oh, I learned about, I live in logic because I'm educated and I went to school and I have knowledge, right? Because I believe in science. I believe in facts. I believe in education and knowledge. Well, right here is a pretty beautiful picture. In the work, God's finger is stretched to the maximum, but Adam's finger has the last contracted phalanges, meaning the art is to explain that God is always there, but the decision to seek him belongs to the man. Notice his hand's like this, and it takes effort to put your finger up like that. We need to reach out, touch God. And how do we do that? By understanding his wisdom. You know, this world's going to try and educate us and tell us certain things like greenhouse gases, for instance, are evil. They want to try and tell us that's bad. But you know what I've learned about CO2 is that it's necessary. CO2 is a food for plants, essentially. And when plants have an excess of CO2, they thrive. When humans are around plants that are thriving, we get to reap the benefits, you know, because they give us what we need to live. People are starting to learn these things. Starting to learn even how cold fusion can help plants grow 10 times faster, or how things within a piezoelectric field, like quartz under pressure, creates a magnetic field that can actually preserve life. So we're finding all these things today about how to expand and protect life, but yet they want us to focus on these other things that are trying to kill life. That's how you know it's the enemy. They want us to hate what they decide is evil. But what we can learn from this knowledge, and what I've learned about this knowledge, is this knowledge, okay? The knowledge of fruit that Adam and Eve ate, this knowledge was actually knowledge of evil, of the corruption that mankind could do. Imagine you're sitting there as a young kid. You're just playing some Pokemon, playing some basketball, all right? And life was good. Imagine you're 10 years old. Life is good. 13 years old. Life is good. Nothing bad really happened. You went to a good school. You just, life was good. Doesn't really happen to most people. But let's just imagine. Life for this kid was good. Now, all of a sudden, you're like, hey, I want you to sit down and watch this YouTube video. Actually, it's banned on YouTube. They don't allow it on YouTube, but it's on the dark web. And I want to show it to you today so you can learn. And then what is this video full of? Bad things. People being, women being, like, all kinds of bad things. People being manipulated, people being tortured, people being violated, people stealing, lying, cheating, everything. But what did they use it for? That's the thing. They weren't just doing it they're using it to further themselves and get what they wanted by their own will, right? By using these things, these ways that are illegal in God's world, right? That's what Satan does. Satan knows the law, and Satan's trying to get us to break the law. Why? Because he hates us. Why does he hate us? Because we are given grace. We are shown love. We are able to commit sin and be forgiven. And Satan hates that more than anything because he wants to sin. And he wants to be able to sin without consequence. And he knows that God is perfect. He can't do it like the way he wants to. So he has to be able to undermine humanity, God's loved creation, to show God, hey, look, you created this thing, you love this thing, but this thing sucks. And this thing hates you. That's what Satan's doing to us every day. And every day we do what Satan wants us to do by influencing us. He tells us, and then we do the thing he wants us to do because he's encouraging us. Like, hey, why don't you eat that fruit? You're not going to die. Surely you're not going to die. I mean, same thing happened to me when I started doing stuff in high school that was like things that, my parents told me I shouldn't do, and I knew just in general, like doing drugs, for instance, like, you're told your whole life not to do it. But then all of a sudden you get this temptation like, what if I tried it? What if, maybe I should try it. Everyone else is trying it. My parents are trying it. Maybe they're just keeping it from me. Maybe they just want to have all the fun. You know what I'm saying? Now these thoughts start polluting your mind. This is the propaganda of the enemy. They get you to start questioning these things in a way that leads us to our own fail, right? Where instead, what does God teach us? God teaches us to respect our mother and father. And God teaches us to be sober-minded. God teaches us not to lie. But then all of a sudden, you got some weed or some other drug. You go out in your backyard. You're doing it. You think everything's fine and dandy until all of a sudden the next day, your mom or your dad finds some evidence. They're like, what's this? Is this yours? Were you doing this? They confront you. Now you're lying. No, I've never seen it before. I don't know even what that is. You're good at lying. You learned it from your older sister. You know, you just keep up the game because you know that if you can keep this hidden, nothing bad's going to happen, right? These are the games of Satan. Satan loves these games because guess what? He gets people trapped. And there's always a consequence. There's always justice. And when people are trapped, they're not able to get out before the justice comes. And essentially gives them the same condemnation because let's face it. Satan is guilty. All right? Satan's guilty. We don't have to be guilty. We can choose to have salvation, to be wiped clean, to be innocent. We can choose that. It's of our own choice. How do we have that? Through Jesus Christ. Believing in him, the remission of his blood for our sins, right? So we can be cleansed. It's the only way. Jesus Christ, or Satan knows that we are protected by that, which is why he is set so strongly on trying to get us to fail God and to get us to turn away from God, because after we do realize we've turned away from God, from what we've done, we made a mistake. Some people are too afraid to turn back to God, just like their own father. You know, you got in trouble by your dad. Now you're too afraid to go home. Why? Because my dad's going to kill me, man. I might as well just try and live out here on my own. I'm 15 years old, living on the street, but I'm not going home, man. My dad's going to kill me, right? But you know what our God wants? He wants us to go back to him and say, you know what, Father, I have made a mistake. I failed, but let me come back to you and do it your way. Because I tried my way and it sucked and I failed. Now I want to try it your way because, you know, I want to be victorious. Satan wants us to lose with him. It's just like being an accomplice for murder, right? Let's say he murdered a person, but you had no idea. But then you come over to your friend's house and he's all drinking you up, having a good time, this and that. And he's like, oh, wait, hey, I just want to tell you something, pal. I know we're really good friends and all, and, you know, I really trust you a lot. That's why I'm going to show you. And let's just go in the backyard. That's the body of the person I had to deal with them. They were doing some really messed up things, you know. You would never, trust me, if you saw what this guy was doing, you would have done the same thing. I'm doing this world a good thing by doing this. So I need you to help me do a good thing and help me bury this body and make sure nobody learns about this because, you know, if anybody learn about this, something bad could happen. You know, we don't want anybody else to get hurt. So let's just keep this between you and me and bury this little issue we got laying out in the backyard. Well, now you got a choice. You can either betray your friend or you can betray the law, right? The law pretty much tells us that if we see some activity like this, we have to, as a witness, report it, right? If you don't report it, you're now essentially aiding this person in a way because you saw what he's doing and you decided to turn an eye. But not only that, if you now decided to pick up that shovel because he convinced you and dig some into the dirt, you didn't even touch the body, you literally just dug it, and then he dumped it in and you guys together covered it up, you're an accomplice. You didn't do nothing but dig a hole. Really? In God's eyes, if you think about that, is God upset that you dug a hole? No. God's upset with the lie or the law. Let's say the law or the judge in this situation that's going to be convicting is going to be upset. Like, why did you do that? You could have left at any minute. You could have done, but instead you chose this. And that's exactly what Satan wants. Satan's already guilty. Okay, just like the man who killed that, he knows what's going to happen. But he knows if he drags somebody else into this, it gives him a little bit more protection. Just like we're seeing with P. Diddy and Jeffrey Epstein and stuff like that. Why were these people doing this stuff? Well, when you bring somebody in with it, and you have evidence on them, because like let's say, you're digging this hole, right? And he's like, "Hey, buddy, just so you know, I was recording this whole thing. So if you tell on me, we're both going down." You know what I'm saying? That's what they do. They're trying to blackmail each other and say, "Look, dude, if you do this, it's going to be the worst decision of your life because you're pissing your life away if you do that." And then, well, that's when you can decide, am I going to live by fear of Satan and what he might do to me? Or am I going to live by fear of God? Am I going to live by the fear of Satan who can torture me to death and kill me? Or am I going to align to the fear of God who shows me that this world is only temporary? That the death for our flesh is not necessarily the death for our soul. That even though Satan can kill our flesh, he cannot kill our soul. Only God can kill our soul. Only God can condemn our soul. God is the owner of our soul. Satan owns nobody's soul. The only souls that are going to where Satan is are those that have been decided by God. So if you think, or if anybody tries to tell you Satan owns your soul, or Satan owns somebody's soul, or all these ideas, he sold their soul to the devil, it's a lie. You can't sell your soul to the devil, because guess what? Your soul's never yours to begin with. It was God's. It was created by God, is a gift to you. And guess what? He still has ownership. You're just using what was God's, what is God's. It's your duty, it's my duty to not just align ourselves to go back, but also to save the people around us. Because God wants a populated heaven. He does. So you might be caught up in a mix of things, like Jennifer Lawrence here. She barely understood the film, despite sleeping with the director, right? You can be so, Jennifer Lawrence, dude, and like people like that, dude, they're sometimes caught up in stuff so deep they have no idea how to get out. Even this guy, Billy Carson, he's been in the media recently. Not mainstream media, but like YouTube and Twitter and stuff, because, he's so deep in his ideas of what he was creating, that when he pretty much got exposed for lying, he lost a lot of his followers and a lot of his credibility. Uh-oh. And now look, these people, I was following some of them, like this guy, his accounts are suspended. All because of mass banning Project Groper. I don't know what that is, but let's see. Alt-right white nationalist activists. So now everybody's thinking it's a bait and switch with Elon Musk. Everyone's getting really upset with Vivek and Elon Musk because essentially they're both immigrants, and they're like really trying to just Like, all these MAGA people are saying, like, "Screw you for wanting to hire immigrants over first," and then they were saying, "Oh, well, you know, in America, we pretty much promote mediocrity, and that's why, you know, pretty much, like, foreign countries like India and stuff will be hired a lot more in the tech industry because the Americans just don't have the same work ability. They don't have that drive, that desire to pretty much excel and be at the top." Vivek was talking that, like, Americans are more influenced by people like, you know, the popular crowd, like High School Musical, Boy Meets World, Saved by the Bell. These types of, you know, movies that are about high school and stuff, they are not about being the best educated or being like, you know, excelling in anything, whether it's mathematics or chess or on and on and on. None of the focus is about these high achievers among us, you know, the people that are getting the good grades, the people that are, no, all these shows are about the people who are the popular kids to try and just look normal and be normal and this. And if you aren't normal, then you're essentially outcasted as, oh, he's that geek. Oh, he's the, and anyways, Vivek Ramaswamy was saying that, like, other countries don't have cultures like this, and that's why it's important to not just hire Americans first, but to hire essentially the best person for the job. And a lot of times that will mean hiring immigrants. You know, I kind of have twisted idea, or not twisted, but I've been considering a lot of ideas in this. So I'm like, okay, you know, let me think about this. Let me consider it, you know, because there is a lot of push from, let's say, people like Nick Fuentes and other people that are just completely against immigration at all. People on Sin City that are just literally think immigration is the worst thing ever, that any immigration is bad. And then you start getting involved into the whole race idea. I don't buy into a lot of this stuff on either side, but what I could say is Elon Musk and Vivek, in appearance to the whole like MAGA movement, there's division going on, and people are thinking that we've been duped by the Jews. You know, that's what these people are saying. So I don't know, but look at Cenk. This is interesting. This is a whole new alignment is coming out here, because now we have Cenk agreeing with Elon Musk and Vivek about the H-1B visas. I love the rebellion against them because it shows that MAGA is thinking for itself. I disagree with the right-wing populists here because I think it's awesome that the most talented engineers across the world want to come here, and I think that they make us stronger. But this fight shows that MAGA is not a monolith, and that's a great thing. Vivek is right and wrong. He's right that we should celebrate nerds and people who work hard in school, but he's wrong that we need to put down anyone else in order to do that. I was both an honor student and the middle linebacker for our football team. There's nothing wrong with being a jock or nerd or both. I can't stand Laura Loomer, and I think her comments about Indians are awful. I also don't think she should be punished for her comments blocked or unverified. Let the marketplace of ideas sort this out. The forces of good don't need censors to help us. It's like, Cenk is someone I really didn't like before. And now, all of a sudden, Cenk is coming to his senses. And people are starting to notice it, dude. People in the right wing are being like, wow, dude, you might not be on the right track 100% yet, but he's completely waking up to the left wing corrupted, just twisted linebacker bull. I don't know why I said linebacker, but European oil companies abandon wind and solar as climate agenda falls apart. Major European energy companies double down on oil and gas to focus on near-term profits, slowing down and at times reversing climate commitments in a shift that they're likely to stick with. So the reality of this world is turning people away from the climate agenda lie. And, well, let me hop over to my Recorder Rancor page, and we're probably going to wrap this up right here, because, oh, shoot. I didn't even see that message I got. Unreliable Colorado job stats lead federal agency to pause use. Wow. All right, so I've been following this guy. He seems pretty cool. It's like, so there's no way the government would fudge their numbers to make it seem like Colorado and its retarded governor are doing better than he actually is, right? Because Colorado has never been more dangerous, crime-ridden, and flush with drug addicts and homeless in its history. Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, I'm in Denver, not in the city, thankfully, but honestly, it's reached a point where I'm kind of too afraid to do that. I'm too afraid to go to Denver. Let's just be real. Like, why do I need to go to Denver? I used to go to school in Denver from 2009 to about 2015 at Metro State University. It's a campus, Aurora campus, shared by 3 different schools. I think maybe more now, but I used to walk from the bus station to Denver, and it was bad back then, getting worse, right? I would see on the news all the time of people getting stabbed, like just not good stuff. Even my own friend worked on 16th Street Mall. What the fuck is that? Oh my god. Worked on 16th Street Mall and worked at a place called Tokyo Joe's, and he told me he was out back, like on a smoke break or something, or maybe he was after work. I'm not sure, but he was out back in the alleyway and with maybe 2 or 3 of his coworkers. I'm not sure, but he said that he got jumped back there. Like, I think he said someone pulled up, they got out, and they just started like trying to rob them. And then when they were fighting back or trying to get away or something, then I don't know, all hell broke loose. But my friend told me he got pistol whipped in his head, dude, and he had a gash coming down, and he went to the hospital. You know, I myself was almost set to be jumped in Denver one time. It was like 9 p.m. at night. I was leaving my evening class because, I was taking like a math class in the evening. I think I got out at 8:30 or so. I was walking to the bus station, and this dude, he was a black dude. He asked me, he's like, "Hey, what's up, man? You want to buy some fire?" I was like, sure. Because, my friend Ethan, he had bought some a few times. Like, at least one time I was with him and he just casually bought some weed off somebody. I was like, so what the heck? How did you do that, man? That never happens to me. How did you do that? He's like, you just gotta take advantage of the situation. You just gotta do it sometimes. And it was funny because it's right midday, right in front of everything, and he just poured a little weed into his cellophane, gave him some cash, went on his way, and I was like, what the? That was cool. And I was like, man, maybe this is my time to feel cool and score a little bit of some weed. I mean, this guy said it was fire, so might as well try him. And, and he's like, I was like, man, yeah, but I looked at my wallet. I was like, oh, shoot, dude, I only got like $5 actually. He's like, oh, dude, that's fine. Come with me. And he just started leading me on his walk, dude. And he's just like talking a lot and walking. He's like, oh, da, da. And then I was like, eventually he started getting weird, dude. I was like, hey, man, just so you know, dude, I don't really have I don't have shit, dude. Like, and I don't know why I said that, but I literally felt like this dude was just thinking about what he could take from me. I started getting these vibes, and I'm like, dude, just so you know, I really don't got shit, man. I'm kind of poor. I'm just trying to get home. I'm taking the bus, and you know, and he's like, oh, no, don't worry about that shit, man. Like, and then he leads me over to this corner where I've never been, and there's like all of a sudden black people everywhere. I'm like, what the? I've never been here before. And then he goes over, he's like, wait right here. He goes over across the street on the corner, a black dude standing there, and he goes up and he's like whispering to him. And the other dude, he's just looking in the distance like that while the other dude's talking in his ear. And then all of a sudden he looks at me, and then he continues to look down. And I knew instantly, it's like, what the fuck's going on, dude? Something's going down. And then all of a sudden I see him just leave. And I'm like, okay. So then I started walking towards the dude as he's leaving. I was like, hey, what's up, man? Did he have any or what? He's like, hey, man, just get down real quick while I hit this stuff. I'm like, what? And I'm like, what? He's like, just get down in between the dumpsters right there, man. I'm like, what the fuck? And I looked at my watch, and then I just was like, dude, I gotta go. And I just ran. How I got into this alley is like there's a street here like this, right? And I took like a left to go into the alley. And then I was just like right in here in the alley. And then I could have ran back and out, but instead I ran deeper into the alley. And then the alley came to like a T stop. So I was going up to the end of the T, and I could either go left or right. I was like, oh shit. And I knew if I go to the right, it's the more direct way back to the train station. So, or the bus station. So I was like, all right. And I was full. And I just took a right. And I had a heavy backpack in my coat. It was winter time. And I was just, and I remember I looked back after I turned out of the alley, and then I just kept running, and I was literally running towards the light to take a right, and I looked back, and I saw this huge dude with this bag, this big bag. It's like, and he wasn't, at first I thought he was running after me. I was like, what the fuck? But then he ran into the alley that I just came out of. I'm like, oh my goodness, dude. And I was out of there. But, you know, if I was stupid or slower or, of all things, unblessed, that could have been a very dangerous or life-ending situation for me. But we got to remember that the enemy is looking to devour us, and we need to, realize that God gives us the laws that he does to protect us. He's trying to save us. He's trying to show us how to not be devoured, right? And if you're doing something in your life that you have to lie to somebody, then that's a sure tell sign that you're doing something wrong. Because God reveals that people who are doing the right thing, they come into the light so that their good deeds can be revealed. But the people who stay in the darkness, they do it to hide. They're hiding their deeds because they don't want them to be brought to the light. Because if they do, they know that their corruption will be revealed. So we got to live in this mindset and be able to recognize these things so we can tell, hey, is this aligned with God or not? And then easily, dude, I'm telling you, just clear as day, this world is going to reveal itself to you in the most beautiful ways, where these lies, they're not going to be able to affect you. I can tell you now, more than ever in my life, I can tell that people are lying to me. And it's not from any form of experience or looking at their eyes moving, or I don't even have to see them. I could literally just be reading a text message and I could tell that it's a lie. How? Because of discernment given to me by the Holy Spirit, by asking for it. It's a gift that we are granted, and when I received it, I'm able now to grow in his spirit, so that I can grow in wisdom, grow in his discernment, to grow in goodness and righteousness and integrity, and all things that are good and pure and are good for teaching and rebuking and promoting goodness and wellness in our society, to bring us all up together, right? Because the fact of the matter is that protecting ourselves, protecting each other, protecting our society is very important. Because when there is no protection, you leave it open for the enemy to attack and destroy. We are allowed to have heaven here on earth. God shows us this. In his prayer, he shows us, Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Your kingdom come, your will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Right? And other places in the Bible, he reveals to us, Jesus does, and it's our job as humans to bring his heaven here on earth. How do we do that? His spirit working through us. And we can live in this heavenly world by aligning with God's righteousness, his law, his ideals. And when people aren't aligned, it's not up to us to judge them and condemn them to death for it. We are not righteous to do that. But it's up to us to show them, forgive them, guide them to the truth and to the love of which is Lord's righteousness and wisdom. And, I have a friend on Sin City who has fallen to homosexual temptation. And he tries to tell me, hey, basically I wanted to tell you before anyone else does, so it's not a shock to you, but essentially, he's saying he's a bisexual. I told him about a week or two later, I was like, hey man, I appreciate you telling me, but I have something really important I needed to tell you. It's that your sexuality is not your identity. And I urge you to separate yourself from this way of thinking, because this is the way of thinking of the enemy. Our sexuality is not our identity. Our ethnicity is not our identity. None of these things, whether you're a vegan, whether you're it doesn't matter, fill in the blank. It doesn't matter what society you belong to, or what DNA you have, or who your ancestors are or were, or who your mother is. It doesn't matter. God grafted us into his family. We are adopted children, undeservingly. And through that, that's how we know who we really are. We are children of God. And as children of God, he doesn't call us to condemn one another, to shame one another, to try and get each other to see who's the best. It's like, the reality is that we're all terrible at being good. The only way to be good is if we admit that we're terrible at it and to start aligning to the Holy Spirit, who's been right there waiting for us, just like the image we saw a little bit earlier. Right there waiting for us. It's that Leonardo da Vinci image. You got God's finger. Oh, I disappeared. God's finger right here. Michelangelo, his finger is over here like this. And it's up to us to lift up our finger, to touch and connect with God. Right? We can't see him. There's no way to prove he exists, right? That's why it takes effort from us. Because if we could just, boom, snap like that and know he's real, what is the point? And that's what he's trying to reveal to us. When we die, we're going to know. As a fact, we're going to know. That's why we can't wait until we're dead. We have to do it now when it's a secret. Because he's showing and revealing to us the secret. It's not actually a secret. It's in plain sight for all of us to see. It's the most popular book in the entire world. It is not a secret, but yet he keeps it a secret. Why? Because there's a gift in there. If you're able to believe in something without actually being able to actually see it there, God's revealing to us that there is a reward for those who act as if they know without knowing in a way that God reveals to us is the truth. Because if we're going to take that same mentality and believe in something, like let's say climate change, okay? Believe in climate change or without actually knowing it's real, but we believe it's real, right? Well, now we're starting to understand the tool of Satan. Satan will take what God has and pervert it and turn it to himself. So now you have what God is showing and revealing to us is that we need faith. And then you go into these other fields, like let's say evolution that's being taught in school or the Big Bang Theory and stuff like that. Now, all of a sudden, you need faith once again to believe these things. Because I'm telling you right now, we do not have sufficient evidence that points to humans evolving from primates. We just simply do not. We have some evidence indicating that there's different species of these hominid, the skeletal structure shows that there's differences here, just like with dinosaurs. There's all these differences. And there's suggested ideas that this dinosaur might have turned into this one. But there is no evidence of an in-between stage. Like we should have millions of years of fossil records that show us that this dinosaur turned into this dinosaur. We got half-formed wings here. We got half-formed legs here. You could tell by all of these fossils that primates have been evolving into humans. But that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing far and few in between instances that they try to use to prove a point. Their own idea. Now, what we see in the Bible is a little bit different. Because, once again, it is dealing with something that is unseen, something that's unprovable, but one comes from the point of God created everything, and that through him, everything, became, and as his will, and that his will is good. Outside of that, from the other perspective, is this world is a coincidence. That only good things happen or bad things happen as a result of subjective thoughts about those things. Like, they're suggesting that things are not always bad. Like, okay, you had a bad situation here, but if you took that situation here and put it into a different time and place, and all of a sudden it's not actually considered bad, which isn't true. That's not true. We see with morality, it's consistent. Like murder, for instance, is bad. Unaliving people for no reason, or even if there is a reason, unaliving people is bad. And people will try and justify stuff like this. Oh, well, maybe at this place in time when people were just unaliving each other all the time, it really wasn't that big of a deal. Try describing that to a family, who lost their youngest daughter because she was SA'd and unalived. You're going to act like all of a sudden that was the times. Oh, I know that you're sad because you lost your kid, but these are the times. Maybe you should have lived 2,000 years later when there's a prison system and a Supreme Court. No. We always know it's wrong no matter what. And that's why we're called to protect each other, and if I see someone out there in the middle of the street being SA'd and unalived, it is my duty as a human to not just stand on the sidelines and look. And that's what we're being called for in the spiritual war. In the spiritual war that we're in right now, we're being called not just to observe, oh, wow, yeah, that person really just got destroyed by a demon. Oh, good thing that's not going to that wasn't me, you know, or just move on with the life. No, we got to recognize the demonic activity, and we got to supply ammunition and weaponry to destroy and remove the enemy. How do we do that? Prayer. Number one tool, prayer. Number two, abiding in his word. Number three, creating bonds with fellow Christians. All these three things together is what creates a force field of protection around us from spiritual perversion. Because that's what they're going to do. They're going to try and come in and act like they are like you. Oh no, I'm a good person just like you. I'm a Christian just like you. I go to church just like you. Who are you to decide that Jesus reveals to us that we can tell his people by the clothes that they wear. And if they wear the clothes of Christ, then in fact they are a Christian. But if they don't wear the clothes of Christ, then they in fact are a hypocrite. And how do we tell the clothes of Christ? Joy, peace, righteousness, love, graciousness, mercy, patience. These are the fruit of the Spirit. And if you're up against somebody who's angry, short-tempered, mocker, gossiper, backstabber, so many things like that. And then we start expanding out to the other sins, like doing drugs, homosexuality, on and on and on. They're lying to people around them, habitual liar. You start to see the picture here. And the picture is that we need to protect our people from these things. So if you have someone you really care about, he's like a brother to you, she's like a sister to you, and you see that they're falling to these things that corrupt mankind, you see that they're falling to drugs, sex, bad music, bad people, bad intentions. You see it, you see them wanting to go out on dates with chicks and hook up with them, fornicate with them. You tell them, as a brother, look, buddy, I know you're trying to have fun, but I don't think you know what you're really doing. Because what you're doing is not going to lead to anywhere fun. It's going to lead to death. And I love you, and I want to save you. So let's together fight against death. Let's fight on the side of life, the side of God, align with Jesus Christ who created us. And let's win this war. Let's win that war over for your soul, for my soul, so that together, while we're still alive, we can live in the kingdom of heaven here on earth. And all of those demons that have been trying to take you down, all those people that are riddled with demons that are saying that you're not good enough, you'll never be good enough, and you're always just going to be a piece of bloop. Just know that my God says you were created in the image of him. Okay, you're greater, you're more beautiful, you're everything that Satan wishes he was. And even though Satan is more intelligent than us, okay, he's more crafty, he's more wise, he's more everything than we could ever be, we have a gift that he does not have, and that's why he hates us and he's jealous of us. So know this, that even something so infinitely more powerful than the humans are jealous of us, a weak, dumb, just worm of a, but still beautiful because God created us. But still, we're weak. Face it, we're pretty weak. We could get squished and die just like that. We're not that smart. Some people are dying from some of the dumbest things across the world. People taking selfies and falling off cliffs, stuff like that. Like, people are dying from really dumb things. But the fact of the matter is that one being who's more intelligent, smarter, faster, more cunning, more everything than we are, he wants to be in our shoes. And that's why he loves to claim that he could steal lives here on earth. He's going to try and claim as many people as he can. He wants to try and get people to refuse God. They would rather die die and be in complete darkness than ever have a chance at the beautiful kingdom of heaven where there's actually peace and serene, just beauty and love that brings you something you'll never want to leave. People are actually saying they would rather never experience that in their life. Why? Because they're being cognitively twisted by Satan, and we can break those chains, but it's a choice. These people are choosing death. We choose life. So at the end of the day, I just want to say thank you. I don't truly know what I'm doing either, and that's why, I'm calling for brotherhood, sisterhood. We need to help each other out, because from the outside, you looking at me, you could see the difficulties in my life easier than if I'm looking at myself and I'm like, why am I stuck here? And that's why we need each other. And I'll try and do the same for you. I'll see in your life, hey, look, you know what? Maybe this is what's the issue here. And as we try and identify the enemy and the issue is how we begin to progress. We hold each other accountable. We have a better future, a better life. I understand I'm not perfect. I know you're not perfect. I forgive you and I pray you'll forgive me, because that's how our Lord teaches us to live. And through that, we can actually live a beautiful life. And that's what I want for myself, for you, for everyone around us. We're going to create beautiful lives, and Jesus wants us to do that. Jesus wants us to turn to him. And this time more than ever, you'll see it in places. The more you open your eyes, you're going to start to see. The more you open your ears, you're going to start to hear it. It's like music to God's ears, and we need to continue to just add to the symphony of music. And it's the glory. It's for the glory of God. It's a beautiful thing, because when we glorify God through how we live and what we do, it's going to allow us to live in harmony, in peace, and in just a higher way of living. The higher way of living we've all been craving, dude. We've all been craving. There's not a single person in this world, no matter how much money, that isn't craving a better life. Okay? Elon Musk, the richest man in the world as we know, he is craving the same thing we're all craving. And he doesn't have God. So that can show you why he's still craving. All right. So let's end your cravings. Right. It says in the book of Proverbs that those who hunger for the world will always be hungry, but those who hunger for the righteousness of God will be fulfilled. So may you be fulfilled. May you seek his word. God bless.